Okay, a little talk first. There's a lot of people right now that are stoked for WrestleMania. And for most of it, I don't understand why. Because as much as people want to say this is going to be the biggest WrestleMania in history, there's a lot of stuff that's not working correctly. I saw just Alex's video about Raw. And he is so stoked. Yes, he was honest about Raw being a bit mediocre. You're right, it wasn't that great. But he was still stoked for everything. He's made it very clear in his video, nothing else matters. He's got the blinders on. WrestleMania is going to be the way he wants it. You look at JD of Off the Script, about to say Off the Rope Show Central. I haven't seen anything from the Slug Daddy yet, but I do know that just Alex and him kind of run on similar lines, but Slug Daddy's Slug Daddy. He'll be a little bit more different than him. But I can see that he's got a bit of a blinder himself. JD, he is not liking what's going on 100% with WrestleMania, but he does recognize it. But in this situation, when it comes to JD, he's on the opposite side almost for most of what just Alex wants. So he's got blinders on. Now there's me, a little bitty guy, little nobody. I'm going to say this, honestly, for WrestleMania. There are things that are okay. There are things that's going to be interesting, but as I've said multiple times, WrestleMania is not being booked for any of the fans. It's being booked the way Ari wants it. It doesn't make a difference if anybody likes what I'm saying or not. No matter how much you want to love WWE, Ari Emanuel is not a fan. He's a businessman that cares about making money. If it's going to make the fans happy, he'll do that. If it's not going to make the fans happy, he doesn't give a shit. He'll give you what he wants that will make the most money flat out. That's the truth. No matter if Triple H likes it or not. And I still think by next year, Triple H is going to be fired from WWE. I don't believe they'll keep him for much longer because of all the allegations that are still going on with Vince, that he is the son-in-law of Vince. And I truly believe that's not going to last long. There's going to be something that's going to make him leave. Either he's going to be fired or he's going to quit. There's a possibility for that. Nobody wants to say it. I'm saying it. If I'm wrong, fine. You can tell me, dude, you were wrong. He's still there. I say, yeah. But there's still a chance he could be fired because it's not Vince running it. But when you look at how the build going into WrestleMania is, it's still very chaotic. It's not that it's not bad, but they're still working on it on the fly. It's not something that was booked months in advance. It isn't. Here, you look at Roadblock, and all the shows before it have been booked the way that Shawn Michaels wanted it. And you can see it from this show. Is it all perfect? Hell no. I'm not going to tell you this. It's not perfect. We did get some things that were very well done. Some things that seem a little bit sloppy. Some things I'm going like, really? But let's get into it. Look, opening Dijak versus a Joe Gacy in an Asylum match. I'm still going, really? Why are we still with these two? Now, mind you, I'm not hating the feud, but I'm still saying this all started because Dijak looked at Joe Gacy acting like an idiot at commentary months ago, and that is how the fight started. And it was ridiculous then, and this feud is ridiculous now, even though they had very good fighting in between it. It does not make the story 100% great. But I'm not going to tell you that they didn't sell their asses while doing this Asylum match, which is basically a steel cage match. The only difference is they are going to destroy one another. And that's what we got. This was a very rough match. About 16, 15 minutes long. I didn't hate it. And I can tell you, Joe Gacy, for his credit, was willing to put up with a lot of abuse. Doing that straitjacket, guys, you got to understand, putting on a straitjacket is not something everyone's going to be feeling comfortable with. It can really irk a person, no matter how you think, oh, wrestlers can do it. No, it depends on the person, not about the wrestler. And doing it. Not everyone can handle being restrained in that respect, even though it is still wrestling. So I give him his props. The match was good, and in the end, Dijak won it, but where did they go from here? Hopefully it's over, but I don't really know. I don't really know where they're going to go with this. And there's still a strong possibility they're going to do one more match before Stand and Deliver or on Stand and Deliver. I don't know. Now, mind you, when Dijak was done, he went in front of Briggs because Brooks was going to have the match Ubafemi next week. Not this week, next week. Yeah, not the week after, before Stand and Deliver, I think next week. And he's trying to warn them and pretty much Jen saying, get out of my face. You said grow a pair of balls. And he said, yes, but I'm just warning you, brother. Sometimes you don't listen. And he's saying, look, whether you're wishing me luck or not, I'm doing this. I've grown a pair of balls. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to see if I can get the North American title. And he says, all right, good luck. And Dijak told him, why are you lying to your friend? He's going to get massacred. And he walks away. Which, he's not wrong. I don't expect Umafemi to lose to a Brooks Jensen. Going to get his ass destroyed. It will be a decent match, but that's how I feel about it. Now, moving on. Let me give it to you like this. When it came to Chase Universes versus the champs, I knew there was a strong chance they would not drop the titles now. It's just too soon. Maybe after WrestleMania, they'll drop it. Or on Stand and Deliver, maybe. But here, no. I do believe it will be either at Stand and Deliver or maybe a couple of weeks after Stand and Deliver when finally you're going to see a Braun Breaker more established on SmackDown, and he will be more focused on that, and they're just going to break them apart. That's what I think will happen. But when you have this match, it was a good match. It wasn't perfect. It was good. But I will tell you this, seeing JC James trying to save I knew this was eventually going to happen, that JC would be trying to make sure Chase U wins. And as time goes on, JC is going to become more and more, not only aggressive, but it's going to be possessive. Because it's coming down to the point where something's going to happen where I do believe she's going to try and take over Chase U. There's no way she's not. There's going to be something that's going to happen that's going to make her become the new owner of it or the new runner of it. Either without thinking about it, Andre Chase signed something, or people are going to say that she should run it over Andre. That's what I think is going to happen. Sooner or later, I think that will happen. But when we see that the match ended and then Thea got so pissed and angry and storms off, I'm going like, okay, is she going to be confronting Fallon? Is she going to be confronting what happened with her? And no, she went up against, I don't know why they went there. I think it would have been better if it had been Fallon instead of going to Kiana James and Izzy Dane. But that's what she did. She had an argument with them because she was so angry. Then the fight started. When she met up with Chase U, she said, I'm so angry, I want to fight. I need your help. And she's talking to JC and she says, really? That's not me. I got stuff to do. Walks away with a new bestie and then leaves Thea in the lurch because now she's going to do a tag match and she's going to be by herself. My guess is Fallon will probably help her. But it's obvious that JC got what she needed, got what she wanted, and now she's moving on. And now we got a... What can I say about Thea Hale? Thea has been developed to the point where she's considered she can handle herself. But now it's reaching a point where they believe that since she can handle herself, will she stay with Chase U? Yes. But how is she going to function in Chase U, especially when it comes to Osborne? Because Osborne was talking to family. They were trying to hash some stuff out. Fallon was trying to be nice, which is kind of cool. That she made it very clear that when it came to Thea, she really was giving bad advice. That's the reason why your date sucked. And you said, yeah, the date sucked. And she seemed like she was bored with me. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. As a guy who's almost 53. Yeah. Ow. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, you're always going to get advice from somebody to go on a date. And it's going to suck or it's going to hit out of the park. I'm going to tell you right now. No matter how old you are, You're still going to have apprehension. You're going to still feel excited. It doesn't matter how old you are. Me, I haven't been on a date in years. But you know what? If I was lined up with somebody, hi, whoever woman is out there, you get my point. You know that during a date, you're going to be completely freaked out. You're going to be a little nervous, counting on if you're a player, male or female, you're not going to give a damn. You're just going to do it as you are. Like I've heard some people, oh my gosh. I don't know how a person can date these days because of how bad people act these days. Women are so high standard now. They expect you to fork out so much money even if you don't do it. If you don't do it, you're considered a cheapskate. What happened to just wanting to just meet somebody and enjoying the company these days? You can't do it anymore. Men do it because they think if they don't get it, they'll never get a good life. Women do it because, well, I'm going to take whatever I can from the man. Fuck them. Kind of both the same way. I mean, both sexes act the same way. No one wants to admit that both sexes act the same freaking way now. There is no difference between men and women. There is no difference. You don't find a nice, sweet woman or a highly respectful man that's not going to 100% screw you easily. It is difficult to find. And when you do, we usually get screwed over pretty badly. Let's move on. You can tell I'm one of those types. I'm low maintenance. I don't ask for much. I try my best. I don't ask for much. Let's move on to the third match. Shawn Spears versus Conor. I don't know who the guy is. It don't matter. He was decimated by Shawn Spears. There was nothing left of him. There was nothing to talk about. He's just gone. But Shawn, he made it very, very interesting. He's focusing on Ridge Holland, saying that you need to stop. There's a reason you're acting the way you are, and you need to unleash this. You're wrestling because of your family. You're wrestling because of your kids. You want to say all this, but there's another reason why you're acting the way you are. And then, as he's talking, Ridge comes out, tries to break his neck, tries to destroy him, grabs a chair, and as the refs are trying to keep them separate, and Shawn is saying, hit me, give it to me, and he's saying, no, and walks away. We get Shawn Spears coming outside after the entire match, got dressed, and he said after the interview, we're going to have our match next week, and you're going to see what you really are because I'm going to bring it out in you. I'll unleash your true potential. This is what I'm thinking. Shawn is about to get a new partner because I do believe that when it comes to Ridge has been developed to have such a huge amount of aggression, but just doesn't want to tap into it, understands how to tap into it. It's one of the two. You can debate on it. My guess is a little bit of both. Shawn is going to be doing a program with him that's going to bring it out on him. And then eventually he'll join him. And maybe he'll even be his manager at one point. Next in wrestling as well. It's going to be interesting to see how he's booked. And that's not just Ridge. It's Shawn. I don't think Shawn came back just to be booked like shit. And that's just me. You guys, some below. All right. The Kabuki Warriors versus Tatum Paxley and Lara Valkyria. What the fuck did I see between Kairi Sane and Tatum Paxley? I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? I'm looking at both of them acting very similar. Like, you're trying to act like a crazed woman who's horny all the time for your partner. I could do that a little bit too. Now, it's Kylie. Look, out of the entire Kabuki Warriors and what's going on in Damage Control, you got 5 women that are beautiful. Well, make that 4. Make it 4 women now. Because if you're going to be like that, Bailey's not going to be part of it. I don't see them going to add another woman in yet. Because you could add Xia Li into it. But they're not really doing anything with Xia. There's a possibility they could add Xia Li. They got to do something with her. So let it go with the Kabuki Warriors. You got 3 Japanese women, 1 New Zealander, and 1 Chinese woman. All together make a Damage Control where she's one of the most dangerous. It could work. But I'm not going to lie. Kylie is one of the 2 I like the most. I mean, she may not have this. She doesn't have to. That's one of the things people need to understand. As long as you're loved, you don't care. This is just added extra. It's fluff. What makes a woman is not just how big her boobs and butt is. It's about who she is. Just saying. And trust me, I say this as a guy with experience. I've gone through 2 very high proportional women and 1 average woman. And when you get past all that, they're all roughly the same. You got to live with them. That sounds so stupid. I don't know. You guys can tell me if I'm sounding stupid. But let's move on. When we see the match end, you see that the Kabuki Warriors won. I didn't expect them a job. I'm not expecting a job yet. Who's the best people to take the titles right now? I don't know. But you see Roxanne Perez decimate. I'm not saying destroy or annihilate. Decimate a Lyra Valkyria. She shoulder nails her twice into one of the ring posts. Takes that left arm, puts it over one of the frames that's holding the ring ropes, and just wank. I'm going to tell you, if she wasn't injured, she should be, because that looks so bad. That really looks bad, because her entire body didn't 100% jump like this. It was mostly like that, more than like this. If she wasn't hurt a little bit, I would not be surprised if she is a tiny bit hurt. Now we got to know what's going to happen, because obviously Tatum's going to take offense to this, because that's her bestie. That's a woman she wants to have something with. Forever be married to her. So I'm sure Tatum in the next week or 2 will be going against a Roxanne Perez before they finally have the match again. Roxanne and Lyra Valkyria, maybe a stand and deliver. I do believe it will happen. Question's going to be, what is going to happen? Will Lyra drop the title, or will Roxanne get it again? But if she does, I'm thinking this has to be the last match for Roxanne Perez to move on to the main roster. She's ready. She may not be one of the biggest women, but she has developed enough that she is ready for the main roster. She's ready for SmackDown or Raw. They need more women there that they can do more with. They've been using the same women for a while. They need someone new. Hopefully they'll book her correctly. Moving on. All right. Davenport versus Fallon Henley. Due to the fact of what happened when it was with Fallon talking to this is going to be a big question. I'm wondering. You guys can pose it to me. When it comes to Riley, will he and finally Thea get a date again, but will we watch it? That's going to be the big question, because I don't think their relationship is over in the story yet. Will we actually see it this time, or are we just going to just be told again? That's going to be a big question. The match was fine. At least until Soruka comes back with a knee brace on her knee and messes us up for a Blair. Blair did not like that. She looked pissed. She was pissed. She thought she got rid of that girl who's cute as hell. I'm not going to say she ain't. She's a pretty damn good looking woman. She's now back. Let's hope while she's been gone, she's been recovering from an ACL injury, that her wrestling style now changes. Guys, as much as a lot of people like high flyers and high flips and kicks, there's a difference between psychology to do that and just doing it. When it came to Soruka, she was more gymnastic. When it came to wrestling, pro wrestling, I'm hoping it's a little bit more like this. Instead of being like this, it's here. She can still do the flips. She can still do her really a good looking finisher, but I wanted to be more of a pro wrestler. Particularly that when you got an ACL recovery, you're not going to be 100% the same as you were before. And I wouldn't like to see this woman hurt herself again. I'd rather see her just crank back a little bit of the gymnastics and do more fundamental wrestling. I don't want to see her just not fly around, but I wanted to see how she can work when she has to use psychology to compensate for any type of gymnastics. Because that's what takes real pro wrestling. It's the reason why a lot of people love what they do. I'm just saying. What can I say about the... Seeing William Regal come out to the Catch Cam crew. I can't remember what day. the catch, what is it, catch quarter, the quarter catch crew. My mistake if I'm getting it wrong because I keep forgetting the name. Seeing him come out, as they were explaining from now on, the Heritage Cup can be defended by any one of them. It is not just Charlie Dempsey. It could be any one of them. They can rotate as much as they want. But when Regal comes out, he walks up to the ring. Finally, he's available to be on screen more than just what happened with Ava. But he comes out, faces all of them, and he looks at his son the most. And everyone says, there's your daddy. There's your daddy. Yeah, that's his daddy. But he makes it very clear. This I went after. This I've done. This is I cared about. In UK wrestling, this cup, for male or female, means everything to us. And I want to make sure that all four of you, more like his son, is showing integrity to that damn title. And then his son walks up with a mic in his hand. He says, I'll defend it better than you will. Now, a little boy decided, well, I'm going to show I got some man pants, and I'm going to face my daddy, and I'm going to tell him, I'm going to do better than you are. When Vic Joseph said simply, he's not too young to get his daddy put him over his knee and get whooped. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm saying this truthfully if you don't know this. When I was growing up as a little kid in New York, I've been told stories, flat out stories, that no matter how you are at certain times years ago, back earlier than when I was born in the 70s, 60s, or 50s, there have been points where fathers were known to still whoop their kids' asses even when they're in their teens or 20s. They think they knew better. They acted out of sorts. They get a damn belt and just whoop their ass, or a hard stick and whoop their ass. Now, that was mostly done in the South, not mostly done here in New York. Now, doesn't mean that hasn't happened, because if you don't know historically, New York has had Spanish people, Asian people, Polish, Jewish, Chinese. There have been multiple different races coming in this country. And they all generally used to come here, and still do to a certain extent. Not when Ellis Island was still open. And some of them still did the old ways. Even if you're a grown-ass man or woman, they whoop your ass from one end of the street to another to teach you a freaking lesson. So hearing that was something like, that's not something I didn't hear when I was a kid. So, I shouldn't say anything. If my mother was still alive today, if the things that I'd done that were mistakes, she'd probably try to whoop my ass. She would. But not as a bad guy, not doing something naughty, just making mistakes. It happens. Sometimes you make mistakes. Your parents back then used to whoop your ass to teach you something. But you get my point. Hearing that was interesting. But more interesting, I'm wondering if William will work with his son. Will he become his manager? I mean, he's working in the back. Once in a while, he could come out with his son. That wouldn't be a bad thing. All right. What do I think about the two matches that are going to come up? Mr. Stone wanted to go up against Alexis King. I think would have been better in that promo where he said, Devon, I need to do this myself. I'm a husband, a father, a friend. This is on me. He's messing with me. He's messing with my family. He's messing with my kids. He's disrespected you. I got to go after him. What would have been good, that Vaughn would have said, okay, you're going to do this? Fine, but let's train. Let me train you. You said I'm going to say this. What Stone said, I helped you when you needed me. Let me help you when you need me. To back off? All right. But you need to be trained more. You need to work more. Why not let Vaughn train a Mr. Stone? That would have been good, but we didn't get that. That's a mistake. I think they could have really capitalized, showing Von Wagner at the training ring and then seeing Mr. Stone do some of the routines that he does. Of course, we know Mr. Stone can wrestle, but it would be good to see him mess up. Vaughn is there to help him. Vaughn is there to teach him, and I think that would have been good, because suppose Mr. Stone is not a wrestler or hasn't wrestled in a long time. It would have been nice to be a refresher. Second, Gigi Golan is going to have a match against Ariana Grace. She asked Ava, who still doesn't look like she still doesn't look like a general manager. She looks like an errand girl still. You see me botching. I'm like, I don't hate Ava. I've never hated Ava. But this booking of her where she doesn't feel important. I'm sorry, sometimes you need to have clothing to fit the bill. She looks exactly as she did in Schism. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something here. Just because she's wearing the same clothes doesn't always mean it's going to come over as someone who's in authority. Sometimes authority figures still need to wear something that makes them stand out, that makes them different, that makes them feel important. I'm not saying this generation doesn't act like that. They do. Generation Z thinks you don't need to dress up to be anything unless you want to dress up. But sometimes you need it. Particularly, it's not just the older generation watching this. The younger generation still being taught, hey, this is what a person in charge looks like to a certain extent. This is what a person acts like. And Ava's not doing it. Ava's still Ava. But Gigi wanted a match. Ariana didn't want it. She said she'll run away. But Ariana came into the room and she says, I want a match. Are you still willing to give her one? But you know what I mean. I think the reason I'm botching here is that when it comes down to it, it's pissing me off that Ava just doesn't feel like an authority figure. And that's why it feels disjointed, that entire segment. It just does. Ariana's willing to do the match now. But if she wins, she wants to teach Gigi Golan to be a pretty much a pageant queen. That's what she wants to make her. She wants to make her like she can go into a pageant, like she can be a model or something. Now, of course, Gigi Golan she's a damn good looking woman. She's thick in certain places where most people will like it. Now, I'm not saying she doesn't look bad in a dress. I think she'll probably look devastating in a dress. But if she loses, which I don't think she will, I'm kind of wanting to see it. I want to see what she looks like when she has to get dressed up, all dolled up, and be presentable like a Ariana Grace. I want to see what's going to happen when she breaks the face of Ariana Grace when she gets tired of it. I'm just saying, last thing, it's going to be Mello versus the Don. Here we go. Mello and Don have their match. If Don wins or Mello wins, they go up against Stand and Deliver's champion, Iriel Dragunov. It's a fun match. Wasn't bad. I didn't expect anything different. But let's make this clear. I knew, if you're going to make the story between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams works, you cannot let Trick, see it like this. I knew Trick had to be there eventually. He had to. I knew Carmelo Hayes had to lose. He had to. If you don't, the story between the two is not going to work. It's got to be a Stand and Deliver. So the match was fine. Security, who's all black, because he said, I handpicked my security team this time because he's going like this. No. I'm not letting that play out. I'm going to find the right people that's going to do it right. You found all black. Everyone almost total black skinned. You couldn't find a brother like me, huh? How man? Hey? Bro, why couldn't you find someone like me? I mean, there are light-skinned black people too, you know. I'm maybe only part black. I know people light-skinned. I feel a little insulted. I'm just joking. I knew it was stereotypical. It had to be done, and it did get done. They were going to get black guys to do security, which they did. And by the end of the match, where it looks like the amazing Carmelo Hayes was going to win, Trick's music blows. You got security going, and yeah, come on, we're waiting for you. And basically, Don nails him, and that's the end of that. But then when it was over, Don said, I'm sorry I did that. That's not nice to do, but the music had to be done. But, this time, Carmelo, I got a little gift for you. He plays the music again, and then Trick appears right behind him, whoops everybody's ass. And then his security had to hold him back, and that's Mello. It's exactly the way it had to happen. Now, I know not everyone's going to enjoy this. I know. Many people don't care about Trick. They think he's nothing. There's others who don't care about Carmelo Hayes. But I'm telling you, since, let's say about a year and a half ago, They've been building this situation between the two. That sooner or later, and I said this myself, Carmelo Hayes is ready for the main roster. Trick Williams has to go off on his own, start making him something of himself, because I hadn't seen much of Trick Williams' work. I knew that eventually he's got to be on his own and work on himself. And as I said it, Trick has risen so well. People love him, not just for the catchphrase, but he's done good work in the ring. He's a good talker. He's got good character. And I knew once that happened, and once people really saw Trick for what he was, a good performer, a good wrestler, eventually Carmelo, he's got to put his buddy over. It's got to happen, and it's got to happen at one of the most important shows, and that's Stand and Deliver. It's not going to be a WrestleMania. I doubt they would ever do that. They're not going to let the most strongest storyline on NXT actually be shown on WrestleMania. I doubt that. But at Stand and Deliver, it is going to be one of the most strongest matches there is, because it's the most strongest story. You got Trick Williams, you got Carmelo Hayes, who came up together. They made a promise to work together, but Carmelo made it very clear that you've always been my hype man. You ain't meant to be anything more. And Trick has always been there for his boy. He's always been willing to he bite the bullet for his boy multiple times. He finally got somewhere, and his boy basically buried his ass. And now it is time for someone to finally get retribution. Finally to get avenged. Not revenge, avenged. Because once Melo has that match with him, once it's set up for Stand and Deliver, at that point, whether Melo stays on NXT or not, he did the job he needed to do. He put over Trick. And that's going to be the most important thing. That's going to help Melo move on. Because there's a good possibility that they will not let Melo go straight to the main roster after that match. He will stay on NXT, maybe do a couple more matches with Trick. Then he'll start getting seen on the main roster more often. And then eventually, he'll be gone. And then it'll be Trick having to build himself until he's ready to move on to the main roster himself. Counting if they don't fire him first, because I'm going to say this clear, we don't know when the next releases are coming. Remember, around this time and after, they release people. They release people, guys. You don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. They may release people after WrestleMania, because they're not going to need them. And as much as no one wants to understand it, still, we are still dealing with a very young TKO. Oh, man. How many months has it been? Almost 6 months now for TKO Group Holdings to have been in existence since September. I think it was September 13th last year when it was formed. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. It is 6 months since the company is coming to being. There is no more WWE. Everybody keeps thinking WWE. No, it's TKO WWE. Like it's TKO UFC and TKO Endeavor. That's the deal. That's what, well, it's not Endeavor. Endeavor is still a separate company. I should take that back. Endeavor is, from what I understand, still a separate company. But UFC and WWE are under its banner, so they're TKO, UFC, and WWE. That's what they are. That's what we got here. And see ya.